Can we start now? Okay. I think at least we need to finish reading the next paragraph because just at least it mentions something about Drishti. I mean the annihilistic weak, or in other words, you could say some early Western scholarship. Do you want to the next one? Do you want to read? In the face of this early Western.
In the face of this, some early Western scholarship conclude that there was no consensus in Buddhist thought on the nature of nirvana, or persisted in arguing either that nirvana was mere annihilation or that it was some form of eternal bliss. If one examines Buddhist writing, one will find material that can be interpreted in isolation to support the view that nirvana amounts to annihilation, the five aggregates of physical and mental phenomena that constitute a being are gone, and the arahant is no longer reborn, and material to support the view that it is an eternal reality. But this is not the point. The Buddhist tradition knows this. The reason why both kinds of material are there is not because the Buddhist tradition could not make up its mind. For as we have seen, the tradition is clear on one point, nirvana, as the post-mortem condition of the Buddha and the Arahant cannot be characterized as non-existence, but nor can it be characterized as existence.
Okay, thank you. I think the next one could read it. I think it might be too long.
In fact, to characterize in either of these ways to fall of one of the two basic wrong views, between which Buddhism thought tried to stir a middle course, any inertia and the eternalism view. Thus, although the school of Buddhist thought may articulate the knowledge of the nirvana in different terms, one thing is clear, and this is that they are always attempting to articulate the middle way between existing and non-existing, between annihilation and eternalism. And it is insofar as any formulation of nirvana ontology is judged to have failed to maintain the delicate balance necessary to walk the middle path that is criticized. Of course, whether any of Buddha's thought attempt at articulating the ontology of the middle way will be judged philosophically successful is another question. And again, the tradition seems on occasion to acknowledge even this, although some of the things one might say about nirvana will certainly be more misleading than others. Ultimately, whatever one say will be misleading. The last result must be the silence of the errors.
Yes.
Yes. The silence of the one who have directly known the ultimate truth, for ultimately in such matter, Sabbath word and concept are one of no use.
All right, thank you. So why don't, thank you. And then why don't we just read the last, no, not the last, I mean the third paragraph, let me see, okay, from the sutta about a place that, without fear, without sickness, free from the old age and death. And then we conclude of this, the truth of the cessation of suffering. Who is going to read next one? Is it start from here again? Do you want to read it? No? Okay.
I'm sorry, where are we?
And if monks, I mean that the quotation,
Okay, as if monks.
as if monk, yeah.
As if monks, a person wandering in the forest, in the jungle, were to see an ancient path, an ancient road along which men of old had gone, and he would follow it. And as he followed it, he would see an ancient city, an ancient seat of kings, which men of old had inhabited, possessing parks, gardens, lotus ponds, with high walls, a delightful place. Just so, monks, I saw an ancient path, the ancient road along which the fully awakened ones of old had gone. I followed it, and following it, I knew directly old age and death, the arising of old age and death, the ceasing of old age and death, and the path leading to the ceasing of old age and death.
Okay, thank you. Now let's turn to the path that lead to the city of the nirvana. I mean the way leading to cessation of suffering. So, okay. Why don't we? I think it's all right. We can. Yeah. Can you just start the next paragraph? Yeah.
Okay. So far in this chapter, we have seen that Buddhist thought starts from the premise? Is that supposed to come? That life presents us with the problem of suffering. Premise? Is that a different meaning?
I think it's. Huh?
Is that a different meaning? Or is it just British? It's fine.
Okay.
It's probably fine. The schema of the Four Truth analyzes the nature of the problem, its cause, its solution, and the way to effect that solution. The first three truths primarily concern matters of Buddhist theory. With the fourth truth, we come to Buddhist practice proper. That is, the first three truths provide a framework for the application of the Buddhist solution to the problem of suffering. The second truth suggests that we must recognize that the mind has deep-rooted tendencies to crave the particular experiences it likes, and that this craving is related to a fundamental misapprehension of the way things are. The idea that lasting happiness is related to our ability to have, to possess and take hold of these experiences that we like. In a world where everything is constantly changing beyond our control, such an outlook brings us not the happiness we seek, but discontent. Thus, the third truth suggests that lasting happiness lies in the stopping of craving and grasping, in the rooting out of greed, aversion, and delusion. Of course, these latter mental forces are varied and psychologically subtle. We can get caught in the trap of craving not to crave, of desiring what is, in a sense, desireless, namely nirvana. Yet, as long as we crave nirvana, or the cessation of suffering, then by definition the object of our creation is not nirvana, not the reality of the cessation of suffering, but a mere idea of what we imagine nirvana, the cessation of suffering, to be like. Nirvana is precisely the ceasing of all craving, so even the craving for nirvana must be rooted out and eventually abandoned. The fourth truth is concerned with the practical means for bringing this about, but, as I have already suggested, from the perspective of the path, certain cravings are less harmful than others, and, to an extent, even necessary to progress along the path. Ultimately, however, as the simile of the raft indicates, attachment to even the teachings and the practices of Buddhism must be relinquished.
All right, thank you. And the next one? Yeah.
According to Buddhist thought, just as there are various defilements of the mind, principally greed, hatred, and delusion, so there are various wholesome kusala qualities of the mind. As well as greed, hatred, and delusion, there are opposites, namely non-attachment, alobha, loving kindness, advesa, adosa, maitri, and wisdom,
Prajna.
prajna,
Yeah.
prajna,
Panya.
huh? Prajna,
Prajna. Panya.
Vanya. Okay. Were it not for these, there would be no way of breaking out of the cycle of greed, hatred, and delusion, and thus no path leading to the cessation of dukkha. The principal, if not only aim of the Buddhist path, is to develop and cultivate bhavayati,
Parvati. Parvati.
these and related wholesome qualities.
Okay. So then you have the table. Okay. It's all right. We look at the next paragraph first. In the early Buddhist text, the noble truth. Yeah.
In the early Buddhist text, the noble truth of the path to cessation of suffering is most frequently summed up as the noble eight paths: perfect, right, or appropriate, samya, view, intention, speech, conduct, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. The basic meaning of these 8 items is clearly explained in a manner of practice in the early Buddhist text, but the interpretation of the overall structure of the Eightfold Path is perhaps not so straightforward. We all have certain views, ideas, beliefs, and opinions about ourselves, others, and the world. Depending on these, we turn towards the world with various intentions and aspiration. Depending on these, we speak.
3.
We speak.
Act 4. Yeah.
Okay. And generally make our way in the world 5. So far, as so good. But the meaning of the last 3 items of the Eightfold Path not too transparent. Effort 6, mindfulness 7, and concentration 8 are in effect technical terms of the Buddhist meditation practice, whose expression in everyday language is less obvious. In practice, they relate to one's underlying state of mind, or perhaps better emotional state. In other words, the list of 8 items suggests that there is a basic relationship between one's understanding, one's action, and one's underlying emotional state.
Okay. And the next one, the 8 items of the path are not. Yeah.
The 8 items of the path are not, however, to be understood simply as stages, each one being completely before moving on to the next. In fact, when we look at the extensive treatment of the Eightfold Path in Buddhist literature, it becomes apparent that view, intention, speech, conduct, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration are presented here as 8 significant dimensions of one's behavior: mental, spoken, and bodily, that are regarded as operating in dependence on one another and as defining a complete way of living. The 8 items are significant in that they focus on the manner in which what one thinks, says, does, and feels can affect the unfolding of the path to the cessation of suffering. Ordinarily, these 8 aspects of one's way of life may at different stages, at different times, be either right and appropriate or wrong and inappropriate. That is, they may either be out of keeping with the nature of things, leading one further away from the cessation of suffering, or they may be in keeping with the nature of things, bringing one closer to the cessation of suffering. By means of Buddhist practice, the 8 dimensions are gradually and collectively transformed and developed until they are established as right, such that they constitute the Noble Eightfold Path strictly. Then, the Noble Eightfold Path represents the end of Buddhist practice. It is the way of living achieved by Buddhist saints, the stream attainers. Once returners, non-returners, arhats, and bodhisattvas who have worked on and gradually perfected view, intention, speech, conduct, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. For such as these, having perfect view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, endeavor, mindfulness, and concentration is not a matter of trying to make their behavior conform to the prescriptions of the path, but simply of how they are in all they think, say, and do. We are talking of an inner transformation at the deepest levels of one's being.
All right, thank you. And then we have to come to another paragraph about the path is not only just the Eightfold Path as well. So, anyone going to read the next paragraph?
Alongside this Eightfold Path, Buddhist texts present the path that ends in the
cessation of suffering as a gradual and accumulative process involving a
Hierarchical.
progressions of practice, beginning with generosity, dana, moving on to good conduct, sila, and ending in meditation, bhavana. Alternatively, we find the sequence: good conduct, sila, meditated concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panya, pajna, panya. According to this kind of scheme, the early stage of practice of the past are more concerned. Did I skip a line?
No, you didn't.
Concerned with establishing good conduct on the basis of the ethical precepts. This provides the firm foundation for development of concentration, which in turn prepare for the perfection of understanding and wisdom. This outlook is basis of the important notion of the gradual path, which find its earliest and most
Succinct.
expression as the steps-by-step discourse
Anubhuvika Kata.
of the Nikaya and Agama.
Yeah. And next one, you want to read a paragraph?
Then the Blessed One gave instructions step by step, namely, talk on giving, talk on good conduct, and talk on heaven. He proclaimed the danger, elimination, and impurity of sense desires, and the benefit of desirelessness. When the Blessed One knew that the mind of his listener was ready, open, without hindrance, inspired and confident, then he gave the instruction in Dharma that is special to Buddhas: suffering, its origin, its sensation, the past.
Yeah, go on. The psychological.
The psychological understanding that underlies this is not hard to see. In order to see the full truth, the mind must be clear and still. In order to be still, the mind must be content. In order to be content, the mind must be free from remorse and guilt. In order to be free from guilt, one needs a clear conscience. The basis of a clear conscience are generosity and good conduct.
Okay, thank you. The next one, the 8 items.
The 8 items of the Eightfold Path can also be analyzed in terms of the 3 categories of good conduct, concentration, and wisdom. The first 2 items of the path, view and intention, are encompassed by the 3rd category, wisdom. The next 3, speech, action, and livelihood, by the 1st category, good conduct. And the final 3, effort, mindfulness, and concentration, by the 2nd category, meditative concentration. That the sequence of the items of the path does not conform to the order of these 3 categories of practice highlights an understanding of the spiritual life that sees all 3 aspects of practice as, although progressive, nonetheless interdependent and relevant to each and every stage of Buddhist practice. The practice of the path is not simply linear. In one's progress along the path, it is not that one first exclusively practices good conduct and then, when one has perfected that, moves on to meditative concentration and finally wisdom. Rather, the 3 aspects of the practice of the path is operate and are developed in a mutually dependent and reciprocal relationship. In other words, without some nascent sense of suffering and what conduces to its cessation, one would not and could not even begin the practice of the path. This is not necessarily in a conscious understanding capable of being articulated in terms of Buddhist doctrine, but is perhaps just a sense of generosity and good conduct as in some way constituting good or wholesome behavior. Behavior that is in accordance with Buddha and with Dharma and conduces to the cessation of suffering for both oneself and others. The details of the cultivation of the path to the cessation of suffering form the subject matter of Chapter 7. But let us now turn to consider Buddhist practice more generally, the way of life of Buddhist monks, nuns, and lay followers.
Okay, that's actually linked to the link to the next chapters. Now, any comment for the way leading to the cessation of suffering, or even the one of the very popular simile that the Buddha given, that how he found the kingdom of Nirvana. Any question on it? Any comment first?
I mean, on the last paragraph, he actually talks about some. I mean, before I started reading Nikaya, they would say, "No, you must focus on your good conduct. Only when you're perfect good conduct, then you move on to meditation. When you master meditation, you move on to wisdom." But here, it's not. I like this approach much more. But I don't know why like before in the Chinese Mahayana teaching they taught the other way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not going to explain that anyway. Because
Because they don't do meditation.
no, I don't want to explain that anyway. So yes, yeah.
Waterfall method versus agile development. That's project management.
What is it?
Project management.
The project management and.
No, it's just like the waterfall method. It doesn't matter. It's just.
Oh, it's very difficult for me too.
No, it's not. It's not difficult, but it doesn't matter.
Waterfall. Okay, all right, sure.
Linear path. You have to finish one before you move on to the second.
Well,
Are you done?
yes.
In the page 83, the hierarchical progression of practice, beginning with dana and sila and ending in meditation. The term, instead of using samadhi, use bhavana. What's the difference between samadhi and bhavana?
Bhavana actually generally means bhavana means of course bhavana you could say sometimes you could translate as meditation, but in Chinese usually bhavana translate 就是修行嘛，but you know.
Not necessarily 禅修.
Yeah, but actually 修行就是修行啊。Bhavana, of course, it means 禅修, it means meditation. Yeah, samadhi just samadhi. That here translates meditative concentration, because samadhi are more like you are kind of. I mean, it doesn't necessarily to be that, but it just when you look at the word samadhi refer to mean samadhi mean when you have concentration. Yeah, mean by samadhi. Yeah. When you have samadhi. Okay.
The paragraph of like the blessed one, so he was talking about first you need to achieve like you're like ready, open without hindrances, inspired and confident, and then he'll give the instruction in Dhamma of the Four Noble Truths.
Yeah.
Is this contradicting what like the last paragraph is talking about? Like,
really? Okay, let me see. What it?
It's like you almost have to perfect sila before you.
yeah,
the
like
Buddha would share the dharma and the way.
yeah, almost like the Dhamma is like the wisdom, and it's saying like the blessed one would only teach you the Dhamma after you like are open and ready, without hindrances, confident and stuff. Or is he talking about that like in a different way?
83.
Where's the last paragraph? I understand what you're saying, the step-by-step discourse, right? And where's the last paragraph?
So
You said contributing to what?
the last paragraph is saying like this is more of an iterative way instead of like you have to like do something first and then second and then third, kind of like what Ellen was talking about earlier.
I see.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that question in a way. But, okay, maybe let me see what in my head now. Basically, it's when you say, I think here first, my understanding is, we definitely know the Buddha when he give a talk, when he give a speech, he give it gradually, step by steps. It's not randomly. It's almost like, and I guess that's the main reason. Usually it's believed that when the Buddha give a talk, he will start to give a talk about, importance of being generous and so forth. And then from that, and then you could be, this is what we call in China called 白法, what they call the white Dharma. I mean, kind of like how to be a human, right? Kind of like this, right? You could say. And then after that, how they could be human, that being a good human, that will conduce you, that helps you to be like a heavenly being, So that's why you talk about all this, what we call the sila. Usually the sila always refer to a kind of morally conduct, or you could say the virtue of being a person, being a human. And then, I guess definitely I believe that. I think the Buddha say it that way gradually. Of course, you must know how to be a good person in order to be higher. So that, how to be a good person so that you can be Buddhism believe in karma, that be a heavenly person. From the heavenly person, then if you want to go beyond, and that's why I say when the Buddha understand the mind, that they must be open, because lots of people actually, like even now, people come to study Buddhism, whatever form of Buddhism, they actually look at the Buddhism almost like they can go to heaven. For example, they thought they can, after they die, they can go to other land, even it's different from the heavens, but the other land, then the Buddha will teach, will talk you. It's okay, but the problem is they don't think that they need to. Actually, they also have responsibility to be a good person. Some people actually, they ignore that. They thought, I just need the Amida Buddha. Nothing is important, But if you look at the early Buddhism approach, or even from the text, it's always, before you really can go further, it's always must know that you must learn to be a good person first. And I don't think that's a contradictory, because when we address the topic of the what we call you must have the good contact so that you'll be able to do meditative, right? And then because you can do focus and meditative concentration, and then we develop this understanding or fully understanding or the wisdom. Even though we describe it that way, but it's not necessarily to say you cannot, you of course you can just do concentration, because if you practice concentration, it's believed that will help you to be, good for your morality as well, right? When you have a focused mind, then you're much easier to control your negativity emotion, for example, right? And I'm not sure why you think it's contradictory, but
I guess my question is if the Buddha decided to not teach the Dharma until someone is very ready, is it a bad thing? Should we refrain from reading too much, learning too much about
I say, okay.
Like ready?
Yeah, but
how do we define ready?
actually it looks very interesting. It looks like from early Buddhist approach, actually, not everybody will be taught about the Four Noble Truths. Only when they are ready. Because as I can kind of like, maybe let me just say, like if I don't know, now it's very hard to analyze that, but I just know that my experience, for example, at least me, I don't say that. I normally don't talk about Four Noble Truths to anybody. Because why? How can you are having a good time here and just say, the life is full of suffering? What does it mean by suffering? Of course, you might have a different, what do you mean by that? Okay, and no, it cannot, because you definitely will start to address people. No, you have to behave well, you need to talk nice to people, right? You need to have a good community, everybody must be friendly to each other. This is morality. Am I right? And then after some time, you also tell me, I'm good, I try to be good, but sometimes I still have problem to control my emotion. Even though I know I should be speak, even that person is a bad person, I still can be nice to them, but I find very difficult to do, because then do more practice, like a divinely being. Divine being, they will learn at least to appreciate, even they know, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? Then you learn like meditation. This is what we call the concentration, right? And then that's other part. Even concentration in America in general, you don't tell them when they come to do meditation, you don't say, life is suffering, and everybody run away. You have to tell them the concentration gives you good health. Of course, even if you don't have to say good health, like, give you good mind, give you a wonderful life, and all sorts of very promising things, Until they meditate and meditate and meditate, they have jhana, imagine. They have jhana, they have everything, they're very powerful, but they still find, yeah, for sure, there's no doubt I'm better. But still, I can see the unhappiness there, right? Okay, they have everything, like they can control their mind. But I can control my mind, but I still see the people I don't like, I still don't like it. What happened now? And what can I do? Okay, then you start to talk about the Four Noble Truths. You see, you have to accept, there is the existence of such a thing. That is something you cannot change it. In other change means the fact is as something that will give you this kind of problem as a suffering. I mean, as a side, you feel unsatisfactory, you feel uneasy. That is when you will bow to see people you don't like, for example. So it's really like turning something back. There was like, actually there were people asking me, but why don't you tell me this early? Why you have to tell that before? So imagine if I tell that early, this Buddhism is pessimistic. They have a very wrong understanding of Buddhism. No, it's only when you come to a very refined mind and you start to know, my mind is so refined, I control my mind well, and I'm better than before, there's no doubt. But still, I thought when I did that, then I would see everybody with no anger. But I still have anger when I see some people I don't like. When I see people, let's say people did the wrong thing, you don't feel happy about that. But yes, they did the wrong thing. You're not happy about. But the problem is, you know very well, I still get angry. So, and of course, according to Buddhism, when you still get angry, then you have the root, right, that you will reborn. I think that's very clear. Like I usually talk to people, even in the bars or anywhere, I never just, people sit next to me, I don't say, the life is suffering. Never. You have to see whether he's open the mind. If he tell you, no, I tried many things, I did meditation, I went there, I went this, but I still find, when I go back home, I still feel not happy and this and that, then you start to tell, according to Buddhism, then you start to understand the truth of suffering.
So there's no harm in us learning more.
There's no harm in.
No, I don't think. I don't. Of course, I never read the Buddha say there's harm in learning them more. Yes.
And I guess a question on the context. On the context of this passage, is that just a recording of something he did one time, or it's not like a prescription of this is how you must learn it? It's more of, oh, by the way, this is how the Blessed One did it. It's not necessarily saying that this is the only way.
Yeah, this is not necessary, but definitely it's very clear if you look at all the passage. Look at all the sutra. Most of the saying in such a way when he was invited to dana, invited to the house, even the lay people house, that's what they say. But you would look at the content when they talk to the monk, it's very different. Okay. Yeah. So that's how because in those they believe that the monk, when they came in, they definitely understand how important to be a good morality already. And they also learn concentration already. It's just then they start to address, you need to, how to develop your wisdom. And I also understand the Four Noble Truths. By understanding what is the five aggregates. The path of the suffering, the truth of suffering, you have the 8, right? Like jati dukkha, the born is the suffering. And the last one, in a gist, the 5 aggregates. Clinging to the 5 aggregates is suffering, right? So that's why when you practice, you have to start with the 5 aggregates, right? Then that's why when the Buddha addressed to the monk, it's always start with the 5 aggregates. Yeah. But that's a good point in a way to ask this question. The thing, but unfortunately, that's a lot of monks. I'm not addressing the Buddha's time, but in general. So they thought they have this. They forget actually they might not necessarily have the morality. They might not necessarily have the good conduct, right? The morality, the virtue, and then the concentration. I'm talking about truth, and then they become very proud. They think I can beyond that, right? But that's not true. Okay, and that's actually is interesting if you look at the sutra and back to the history of the sutra. When I find the later time the Buddha a lot of time stopped to talk about these five aggregates, what we call the Four Noble Truths, but then start to address a lot about morality for the monks also. Because that's what the Buddha means. That's how our ego. The ego is that when you're in there, you always say, okay, I know better now. Actually, but your conduct is still not good. Then your concentration is still not well developed. That can be happen, right? That's all because of ego, the pride, the manxin, the manas, the conceit, comes to a person. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, generally this statement is saying that you look, it's clear, is mostly addressed to the lay people. If you look from the early Buddhist text, yeah. Any other questions or any comments? Any better understanding about Four Noble Truths and how important that will be? So without Four Noble Truths, there's almost no Buddhism, okay? Yes.
I have a question on the
Yes.
page, the table on the
Table, okay.
81, page 81, the table. I was just thinking how they, bracket on the meditation on this.
The sila?
Right.
The which one? Samadhi?
Right
efforts, yeah.
Mindfulness, right concentration.
Yeah.
So right effort, it's part of meditation.
Yeah, the 实证意, yeah, 实证群. So when your mind have arisen and hold something, for example, when you meditate, you meditate, you say that you meditate on the breath. You want to focus on the breath. Even you want to focus on the breath on the touching point. And then you think, when you focus on that, and then some that unwholesome here, you could refer to because you're focused on the breath. And what is unwholesome to you? You're thinking that, oh, now I want to cook something. Cooking is maybe nothing wrong, right? But that is unwholesome because it doesn't help your breath meditation. That's mean by unwholesome, right? So you have to learn that what good thing to keep it, bad thing to keep it off, and then also to learn prevent the good thing, the bad thing arise, and the good thing, if it not arise, let it arise. The easier way to explain like loving kindness meditation. When you do loving kindness meditation, you definitely have to, when the loving kindness mind is there, you need to keep it. When it's not loving kindness mind, say that I hate you, then you need to abandon it, right? And when the loving kindness mind becomes strong, or when it's not there, you need to bring the loving kindness mind up, right? When the loving kindness mind, but you would not allow the hatred mind comes along, right? 就四正群啊.
So this is now
the right effort.
On the cushion, it's on the dairy.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Same thing. So this is why this is called concentration. In the Noble Eightfold Path, it's of course when somebody see the ceasing of the Dharma, it's believed that when the people see the ceasing of the Dharma, in other words, to see the nirvana or the cessation, then they know the path, right? The path is Noble Eightfold Path. And but if you want to if you want to put the Noble Eightfold Path as a segment to practice, yeah, the right effort is referred to 四正群. Your effort is being, what kind of effort? The effort is anything is not necessarily you need to put that aside, and that something is there, you need to retain it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anything? Yeah.
One more, and also talking about the. I guess cultivating the dhyana.
Do we have dhyana over here?
On the very
Right concentration.
So to achieve the dhyana, it's the one of the.
No, I want to say which page.
The table.
The last line in the table.
So it's
yeah. According to the Buddha early Buddhist text, yes, the four dhyana is always mentioned. This is how they argue. Some people even they practice against the dhyana. You could say that. I mean, according to the Buddhist text, the dhyana. When you say the right concentration is always referred to four dhyana, but at least you must have the first dhyana. Yeah.
does not require to get to the fourth. Is that kind of what your
Well,
question is?
you know, I'm just surprised to see that dhyana was mentioned.
No, it's not surprise.
It's always mentioned.
It's always mentioned. It's always mentioned. Okay, maybe I know why you asked this question. Even though nowadays there was certain school or practice meditation, they don't emphasize on dhyana. Of course, if you want to find any source to support your view that because without dhyana you could practice very well, there's only one. Among all, only one only in early Buddhism time. It's because the Buddha did mention you can be arahant without dhyana. Only that word. So they only can get the support. But otherwise, you could say that during the Buddha's time, the majority of them definitely have practiced dhyana. And I don't think everybody will against you that because they dare not, unless they don't read Buddhist text. They know very well. Definitely during the Buddha's time, almost everybody practiced dhyana.
So my question is,
Yeah.
like right now, you know, if you name Maharshi, for example.
I know.
Maharshi,
Yeah.
they don't really encourage or maybe
But
trying to.
I know very well about that, but then actually they also defend, right? Because even when Maharshi system came up in Burma, so some also, the monk also who read the text also saying that how can you say that without the dhyana you could practice a vipassana? So, and of course that's what I say, they do have written something and defend their position, but one position they defend is, basically it's because the Buddha also believe that some people can be arahant without dhyana. Okay, so that's one of the good positions, even though you don't find most of the texts say so. But anyway, still been attacked by lots of tradition, saying that you must also have dhyana. And unfortunately, because at that time, a lot of places actually don't teach dhyana too. So even though they know dhyana is there, mentioned in the text, but nobody care. Okay.
Nobody teaches.
No, nobody teach and nobody care. Well, I don't want to say what the reason. There's a lot of things to discuss. This is not an easy subject. But you have to understand the same thing. Even the Buddhism now talk about Four Noble Truths. How many people taught Four Noble Truths? Nobody care, actually. Okay, don't be surprised. But I want to say, whatever, at the end, it's actually the Mahasi also defends saying that, not that I don't teach dhyana. I only teach dhyana when they become the sainthood of the, what they call once returner. I only teach dhyana when they become a once returner. Wow. Because why they want to say that? Because according to the Theravada, at least the Pali text, generally understand, I want to say generally, I don't want to say, generally understand, when you want to be the arahant, you definitely, at least, you must have dhyana. Otherwise, you cannot cut off, you are not strong enough to cut off the very subtle defilements to become the arahant. That's why they defend that. When they say that way, nobody will say anything, because if he say, no, you don't need the dhyana, and then I don't teach at all, even if you can arahant, then maybe people are accused, because it's very clear in Theravada tradition, no. It's when you be arahant, you definitely must have the dhyana. Even though you are not powerful in dhyana, but you must have that kind of dhyana. So, okay.
I have one comment about dhyana. It's like another Mahayana meditation teacher, they believe that once you attend the dhyana, then it's a big attachment, and then it's very difficult to get rid of it.
Anyway,
I wish.
Anyway, this is just talking.
They say, okay, don't get in there.
No. I'm just saying that this talking. You are right, because in theory, when you have dhyana, you can attach to dhyana. Then you don't want to. Basically, you attach to dhyana, so you cannot see the dukkha. Okay, I mean according to even this is nothing to do with Mahayana. Even Buddhism said that too. You are right, but but this is another question I want to say. But it's a big topic. Generally, I always reply in such a way. Okay, fine. If you're afraid to attend dhyana because attached to it, tell me what you don't attach now. You don't attach money? I always joke. Give all the money to me. You don't attach to your luxury house, your car, your comfortable seat, your and this and that. I mean, this is just talk. Of course, yes, ultimately, when you want to practice the Satipatthana, or when you up to the point of understanding the Four Noble Truths, of course you don't want to attach those things too. But if you say that, you also have many things to quote. The Buddha always entered jhana. So then the Buddha attached dhyana? Ask them. Of course, believe that Buddha never attached to anything, right? Unless you say, yeah, Buddha also sometimes attached a dhyana. No, the Buddha always attend dhyana. That's for sure. And even the Sariputta, the Arahant, believed to be, Arahant already. When they perform the supernatural power, we call it direct knowledge, they must have dhyana also. So, and how do you explain that? This is just one kind of saying. It's also true, you can quote from the commentary say that, because some people, they really like that, because that also have highly to do with the culture. Culture in India, having a dhyana is sometimes very unusual, very respectable. And of course, some people, then when the people come to that stage, and you tell them, okay, please practice the dukkha, because practice dhyana is always happy. When you practice what we call understand the Four Noble Truths, then you start to see everything. Sometimes not necessarily things are happy that to you. Let's say your anger, you have to see your anger. If you have a dhyana, when the anger comes, you need to use loving kindness, or you use other method to put your anger away, so that you don't. It helps you, of course, but still the anger is there. Then you need to really dive in and see how these angers come. And then maybe you can argue that don't stay dhyana too much, because that will not help you to go further. But that not necessarily mean the dhyana is useless. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
One more about this. On this table, the first one, right intention,
Friendliness, mean the metta.
Oh, this one is metta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Compassion. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, this list is also from the early Buddhist text also.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
My turn. Okay. On page 79. The second line, the last result must be the silence of Aryas. What does that statement mean?
I didn't see what is the 79. Silence.
The second line. The last result must be the silence of the Aryas, the silence of the one who have already known the ultimate truth.
The first paragraph, second line.
What does the silence of the Aryas mean? In the benefit of others, you do not talk.
Yeah.
Of course, I just only guess. Now let me just look at the paragraph. It's 31, 31, chapter 3. I just want to see what is the quotation. First, do we put it here?
No, 31. No, 31.
Vimalakirti. Okay. That is actually interesting. He quoted from a Mahayana text. Although some of things that one say nirvana will certainly be more missing than other, ultimately whatever one will be missing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's your question? But of course, we can read it. We have to check the early text. What is not the early? Actually, this is from the Mahayana text. Yes, it looks like quote from Mahayana text. I thought it was from Pali. No, yeah. What is the question actually? What does silence mean? But basically, means silence means not to talk about it, right? Yeah. Arya means the sand. Yeah. I think, I don't know, it's here it looks like he took it from the teaching Wei Mo Ji Jin. So basically, I mean, it's not to talk about it, you know. Must be the silence of Arya. to really know the ultimate truth or ultimate use. But yeah, I guess the answer is that the concept is no use, so you don't have to address any thing about what the nirvana is, right?
Yeah, before the paragraph, there's a discussion between what is nirvana.
Yeah, I think that means that you don't, because the middle path, how could you talk about what is the middle path? Or you could say the middle path is a way of the two, the 禅见跟断见, mean the nihilism or the sasadavada and ujjadavada, mean the eternalism, right? I'm not sure. I don't know this paragraph because it's not from early text. Yeah, we can check that later. But I still don't know the answer your question because it means silence. Mean
No, I'm not.
the area it would be not speaking, not going to argue. For example, I find like that. If somebody ask me a question or even anybody, I think it's good. What is nirvana? I will ask first. What do you mean by nirvana? It's like, nirvana mean like a heavens. Then depends on whether you have time to talk to him. What is mean by your heavens? Because you don't answer. Nirvana mean a good place. Or no, it's wrong. And anyway, it's because.
The question itself
the question is wrong already. Actually, you have a presumption to answer. So there are lots of people when they ask a question, actually they were wrong already. The presumption. So you don't have to really follow that kind of wrong way of answer. You just whatever you like to say is okay. Okay.
I just does not understand this statement.
I don't know yet. I also don't know.
Result must be the silence of the areas, the silence of the ones.
The silence of the noble one. I mean, the mastery result mean, in other words, the noble one will be silence. Yeah.
Okay. Know the ultimate truth, for ultimately in such matter, syllable words and concept are of no use.
Yeah.
Or whatever he says, you are gonna create a misinterpretation.
Yeah.
Buddha does not always answer.
Right.
If you read Nikaya, he does not always answer. Sometimes he even runs away.
But this is not about the Wuji, right?
Yeah, you could say so. Depends. But as I said, because this is, when I look at the quotation, is from the Wimo Jejin. So I don't know. But I guess you could say that it's like a Wuji.
Oh.
Yeah, that means the silence. Wuji usually the Buddha don't say anything. He just find no use to talk about it. So kind of like when people have presumption already, there's no way to talk about it, I guess. But some people say that there's definitely no way to talk about it. But some people understand. That's why they say the scholar have different understanding. But for sure that the important is to put the pictures about nirvana. It's neither nihilism, neither the annihilism. It means the eternalism or the annihilism. So neither of them. That's what we have the middle path. And that take it in a very strong way later on in Madhyamika, 就中论. And then the Kongxin, they definitely discuss a lot. You cannot say anything fall into eternalism and anything fall into nihilism. So this is how the Zhongdao is come along. Okay. But in early the Buddha's time, in early Buddhist texts, though, the Buddha sometimes the Buddha did refer, when you say that way, you are in the nihilism. When you mention that way, that means you are eternalism. So let's say you say, they are in a place, beautiful place, wonderful place, the Arahant, and after the Buddha passed away, they will be in. That means you are talking about eternalism. Right. So, definitely in the Buddhist culture, even you still have like I don't want to say what, I don't want to mention the name. So say, there's a place where people go there. It's eternalism.
It's a pure land school.
I said that already. That's. According to the early Buddhism, or according to the really about the Nibbana concept, so that because this is not an easy subject, but definitely if you address that way, it sounds like eternalism. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I guess. Oh, well, it's very far away, far behind our time. All right. Next time the class, we do have a class before we leave to abroad, I guess. Right. March 9. Yeah, March we have a class. So we are going to read about the Buddhist community, because then when you talk about the three, the conduct, the concentration, meditative concentration, and as well as the understanding, all these the practice path. So and then you start to understand the community. The community is to definitely the aim of community to follow that. So you start to understand what the community are, how many kind of them, what are they, you know. So without them, of course, then you don't have an existent body who practice them. So again, we can go back. Please read until at least page 94. Okay. 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 All right. So we are going to have a class on March 9th of March. Yeah. I will see you again. So we just do a little transfer marriage. Sagalanda is going to lead a little dedication marriage to others. Yeah.
May the merits accumulated from study in Buddha Dhamma. May all the merits accumulated from these classes transferred to all the sentient beings and the people who need it, and eventually attain Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Okay, thank you for coming. Okay, bye bye.